Good afternoon. If anybody is out there, out and about, good afternoon. Bay Lady here, Sharon. Hi. I am getting ready to begin an Ellicott City, haunted Ellicott City ghost tour. This is tour number two, the one that covers the upper end of Main Street. I have several uh, ghost tours for haunted Ellicott City because it's such a haunted place. Seriously, can't do it all in one. And actually, I don't have every single building with a ghost included. Only probably the more well known or what have you. So never know, right? It's on me. Yeah, yeah. No, it's fine. Life is good. A couple ladies just passed by me here. They're looking, people sometimes look at me like, what is she doing with that? Why is she here? Mm. So we have 4 minutes to go. And I am ready. It's a beautiful day here, by the way. The temperature is in hovering at 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Um, but the humidity appears to have gone away for a little while. So, and with the humidity goes the haze. So today, instead of our normal hazy, hot, and humid weather, we're just hot, and that can be a good thing. So let's see, start time. Oop, still got the same 4 minutes left. Boy, time flies when you don't want it to, and it doesn't when you do. Isn't that fun? How that all happens. I don't want to say too much here till we start the tour, because then, well, sometimes I end up having to repeat it anyway. But if you're watching this now a bit early, that's cool because I don't see anybody on here really. Well, maybe one person. And if you're not, then you can watch it later at your convenience. And that kind of seems not like a bad thing either. Really, you could, if you had like the with the live streams like this, you could ask me questions. You could say, "Whoa, go back. What was that you saw?" You can even take pictures. Screenshots work. So, you can say, "Whoa, Kodak moment." You know, and it's kind of nice to, have somebody to go back and forth with, responding and all. Hago, Lord rest its little soul. It was a uh, good source for that. Oh my goodness. We used to have tons and tons of people watching, and the chat would just go back and forth and round because they all knew each other. And it was pretty amazing. Yes, indeed. So much so. So, anyway, I am sure some of the people that will be viewing this later, if you do have any burning questions, you could send me a message on Facebook or YouTube or something like that. If you really want to know, I will get an answer for you if I don't have one. Mm, I have a lot of answers, but I don't even pretend to have them all. So, however that works. Okay, we're down to like a minute now. Woohoo! In a minute, we can start. That will be fun. I can start walking, though I am enjoying sitting here in the shade for sure. I mean, I'm just sitting on a little side street off of Main Street in Ellicott City. Guy going by walking his dog looked at me like, who is she talking to? Back in the day, hey, Judy, back in the day, if you were walking down the street and somebody was like talking and there was no one else around, you'd be calling the dudes in the white jacket to come and take them to the funny farm because that's somebody talking to themselves. Boy, if those people could see us now, woohoo! Okay, it's 1 o'clock. It is time to rock. Um, Welcome everybody. If you're watching now or watching later, I hope you enjoy either way. I'm Sharon, the Day Lady, and I am sitting on a bench in downtown Ellicott City, just a block off the main drag. As a matter of fact, I'll turn this around so that you can see it. But first, if you guys if you don't follow me and you like these tours, I have a bunch of haunted ones. um, Make sure to follow me on Facebook and subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. And also, if you really like what you see and want to see more and keep the vibe going, there's another website that you can find on my YouTube page or Facebook page called Buy Me a Coffee. And it's what I use now for tips since Hago disappeared. So anyway, that's that. All right. Well, I'm going to turn this around because you don't need to see me anymore. There are much, much, much more interesting things out there for sure. So, oops, got to switch my cameras. Come on. Why is this not want to switch? Ah, there we go. Da, 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 da. Okay, did that do it? Oh, there we are. Check it out. Everything good, Judy? You enjoying the weekend? Or I mean, did you enjoy your weekend? It's over now. Boy, do weekends not fly by like coffee breaks or what? Okay, so that you're looking at Main Street, um, looking at the upper end of Main Street. We'll be walking up that way in a bit, actually. There's a good example of the granite of the hills and mountains that this crazy little town um, is made of. While we're here, I want to show you where I was sitting because there's a beautiful mural on the wall. Voila. See, I was sitting on that little bench there to the right of the mural. And this mural is Ellicott City. Hey, this mural is Ellicott City as, I mean, showing all its, finest things. No idea what year this is supposed to be. I'd say a few decades ago, judging by the cars. I mean, whoa, I see a Volkswagen Beetle there. But at any rate, it pretty much depicts Ellicott City. You've got the hill with the courthouse on it and the church. You've got the hill with Mount Ida and Patuxent Female Institute. There's Angelo's Castle. Then you've got the railroad bridge. And there's the trolley bridge that isn't there anymore. It's nice to see what that looks like, actually. And see the water. Okay. See the creek there on the left. It's coming through the viaduct. Well, that building to the left with the people standing in front, that's the Ellicott City train station. And that water flows directly into the Patuxent River and is what causes many, many, many flooding difficulties. See, Ellicott City is built in a valley surrounded by 7 hills, 7 of them. Check this out, scenery-wise. Isn't this nice? This is one of the old homes that's been restored. Now, the Tiber River is the one that empties into the Patuxent River. The Patapsco River. And it is right here. I'll show you. Oh, you can hear the water running, right? They're down there. Let's see. Let me push this down. There. There you go. The water running. Nice little area. There's a beer garden there with seating. Oh, it's raining there? I'm sorry to hear that. We had our fair share, but we're done now, I think. Okay. So this is the Tiber River. And you know it seems nice and peaceful. You can hear it dabbling, right? And and when we get up here, you're going to see a better view of it, looking straight on it. Now, the reason I'm showing you the river is, of course, it's part of the history. This is a historic place. In fact, it's a designated historical district, so things can't be changed without going through proper channels. Um, but two things here primarily cause the paranormal activity that's found here in Ellicott City. And those two things are the rock and the water. And here you can see, here's the rock and there's the water. They're like, married together. You can't miss one another. Well, this water doesn't start here. Okay. Well, you can't see where it's going to start, but it's going to be up on that hill. And if you can imagine, right, there's all kinds of little streams and little tributaries and things around here. And so imagine 7 hills, a freaky, unusual amount of rain, a heavy storm that, dumped inches all at once. Okay. And here's Ellicott City, nestled down the valley, and these 7 hills surrounded it become just waterfalls, just water pouring through here, taking out everything along its way, all the way down to the river next to the railroad bridge and the railroad station. So pretty interesting. So anyway, the experts, paranormal experts, that is, claim that the granite, this particular granite, absorbs things, absorbs the crystalline, absorbs images or whatever, and it stores them and replays them and on and on and on. Okay. And then the water, the power, that's what fires it all up and makes all these paranormal activities. It's what creates them. Okay, here, Tongue Row. Now we say tongue, and I don't know if it was really pronounced Tongue Row, but you notice there's no U in tongue there. So anyway, these buildings date back to the 1800s. They were built by in Tongue for the mill workers that worked in the town. Today, they're all specialty shops. Okay. Really nice little area back here. It's like the little town square. Got a fire pit. When there's festivals, they're usually down here, and there's a massive parking lot behind us. But anyway, we're supposed to be looking at the buildings. Okay, so Ellicott City was founded in 1771 and incorporated in 1772. Okay, so it's like 250 years old, I guess. And you can see the houses, like everything else around here. You're talking about the rock, right? The rock. So anyway, these homes were used by mill workers on the mill down at the end of the street. They were given to them to encourage them to come and work and stay. Ellicott City's founders were 3 brothers from Pennsylvania that were Quakers, which explains why there are so many educational so many schools here in Ellicott City, or was, not so much now, but anyway. So things that happen here. These buildings are, as you can see, they're shops, right? But they're also upper levels. Okay, they're all multi-story buildings. Looks like at least 3 floors. Okay, so when we get up the stairs to the street, we're going to be even with that second floor, which is the first floor on Old Columbia Pike, and there are shops up here as well. And then the very top floor is apartments, residential stuff. There's been many a story uh, told by spooked tenants and workers. Here we're up on the top floor, and see it's like here's their mailbox. It's like here's the main entrance, but you come in midway in the building. So, so anyway, there was a couple times where at night people would see lights flashing, like not like flashlights, but like a glow that traveled from room to room, and and then they would hear things. They would hear somebody walking. They would hear like footsteps where there was no one walking. Is what I meant to say, and things of that nature. So they're they say these buildings particularly are haunted because of the amount of this granite that they're built from. 3 stories, right? It's almost like that second story up here is almost like a half floor. I'm not sure. It's pretty interesting though. And oh, Ronnie Lynn, hey, hey. Uh, anyway, so currently they've got a bunch of shops and things, as you saw downstairs, especially. And those merchants have, mentioned from time to time, walking around and suddenly feeling a chilly hand on their shoulder, turn around, nothing there. Hear whispers, nobody around, footfalls, nobody home. And some of the ghosts actually touched one person, tugged on her sleeve. Anyway, they one ghost that has been known to be there, they call her Cecilia, and she just has a field day with turning things upside down and upsetting different things apparently. And she's been seen walking through the upstairs rooms at night. So with the with the light or what have you. So one beautician that worked in one of these shops when it was a beauty store, that person looked up one day to see the misty shape of a woman kind of floating up the steps and then poof, disappeared just like that. That's craziness for sure. I don't come here at night. I should and see if I see anything glowing. I have my own experiences here, but that's for another tour. This is a nice little area, little patio on the Tiber. That's the river that is a killer. Beautiful, but it kills, and it has many times. It's a nice little place to hang out. They even have heaters for the wintertime. Huh, that's pretty neat. Okay, so what you're looking at here is Taylor's Row Livery Stables. Okay, this is where the residents of Ellicott City would keep their horses if they were staying in town or lived in town, and they didn't have room, they didn't have grazing land or whatever, they would bring their horses here. And of course, the horses, there would be stables on the ground floors, and up where you see those white doors on hinges in the center of these two buildings, and over the door on that one, they stored hay for the horses up there in those lofts. And so they could open those doors and just throw bales of hay over into the wagons waiting below. So the people that own horses got their hay from here, and they could store their horses here. They also rented carriages, buggies and all, so they could, rent a horse and carriage, as the case may be. So anyway, that is Taylor Row. And of course, it is not without its spooky stuff either. Okay. It stayed as a livery stable into the mid 1800s, and today it is a full service tavern and restaurant, and pretty popular actually. Bars open. I have other plans today though. Another restaurant when I leave. Anyway, so um, there's a spirit that dwells here that's known to most employees that stick around long enough. They call her the Lady in White. Okay, and they've seen her, especially in the bar area of the restaurant. But the wait staff will come in, and they, of course, before they leave the night before, they have everything cleaned up, everything set and ready to go for the next day. Next day, they walk in there and everything's upset. And of course, there's no signs of entry or anything like that, right? And gosh, they found table settings overturned. Candles that they blew out, the staff blew out, suddenly got relit, right? So they're associating her. They think that she is the spirit of a woman that was attacked and killed in the stables like long, long ago. So she's still up there wandering around, I suppose. Can't leave. This, this is John Day's house. Who was John Day, you say? Well, John Day was a man who was a stonemason, like so many others that live here among the granite. Okay. So, having said that, why does our stonemason build his house of brick? Trick question? Not really. The wonder is, why did he build his house of brick? Look at that tiny top floor up there, right? Interesting. Well, in John Day's house, it was many things after it wasn't a residence anymore. It's back to being a private residence again right now. But it was a beauty salon for a really, really long time. And during its life, it was an upscale beauty salon. And there was a ghost named Susan who made her presence known to the hairstylist and the customers as well. She never really materialized as a spirit, they said, but like you felt her presence. Somehow she made her presence known. It was sensed. The thinking is that she might be a resident of the cemetery located up the hill behind the house. There's a Quaker cemetery up there that that I've never seen. It's up there, but not to me. I'm not gonna anyway. Um, so they think that she, could she be a resident of the cemetery? Who knows, right? Anyway, there's also a second ghost in John Day's house. It's called Casper. Casper the cat. Casper the cat is a furry blur that streaks across the room and disappears right into the wall. So they say. Okay, coming up on our little tour, we are on a street by the name of Old Columbia Pike. Main Street is dead ahead at the traffic light there. And these are just some of the shops. Main Street has really a lot of unique shops. There, you won't find any chain stores here. There's not even a 7-Eleven. There's little markets like 7-Eleven. But yeah, yeah. So we're heading up here to Ooh La La Hair Salon. Now, John Day's house is just like around the corner. Okay, back down that way. So this is the hill that, the same hill that's behind John Day's house, just another angle of it. So keep in mind, ooh, that's a tree. It looks like it could do some damage when it falls. Sorry. Keep in mind that Quaker Cemetery up above, and not only Quakers, as we'll learn here in a moment. So, yeah, hang on 1 second. All right, found a place to sit. Oh, there's people in there. They're probably wondering, look, there's a lady sitting out there taking videos. Yep, she sure is. Oh, okay, listening's good. Listening's good, Ronnie. Good to have you aboard. Okay, so, ooh la la, why are we here? Well, it wasn't always ooh la la hair salon for starters. It spent the better part of its early years as Al's Garage. Okay, the building's estimated to have been built in the 1920s, and it's one-story cinder block. The 1920s was kind of like the birth of the automobile, right? So, you know, it was here to service cars as soon as they hit the pavement. So, like the cemetery, also the Ellicott family cemetery is just over the hill as well. There's another little creek up there called Cat Rock Run, which is a branch off the Tiber River. So there's also some belief that this building in 1920 might have been built over a Confederate cemetery. Okay. Unfortunately, or the site of a Confederate cemetery. The bodies that were temporarily buried there were supposedly moved. Okay. So this longtime resident of Ellicott City that was into like a respected amateur historian, long dead now, but he had been a little boy in July of 1864 during the Civil War. And a battle was fought not too far from here, the Battle of Monocacy. That's up in Frederick, up close to the hills. And there, Union and Confederate troops kind of collided. And they said that many of the soldiers killed in action were buried on the side of the garage until their families came to claim their remains. And apparently buried here initially were both Union and Confederate soldiers. After the major battles like the Battle of Monocacy, apparently steady streams of captured and wounded Confederate soldiers came through Ellicott Mills on the train on their way to the prison camps in Baltimore. And down on Main Street in the Old Town building, they did keep uh, Confederate prisoners. The building was occupied by Union troops, and in particular the Patapsco Guard, which was a Union troop, a Union infantry division specific to Ellicott City. Anywho, so a lot of the Confederate soldiers who um, died of their injuries were buried up in the Friends Quaker Cemetery for lack of, other places to be humane. So they were buried there. Now, Al's garage, Al was Albert Beer. No, I'm sorry, Albert Bayer, as in the aspirin. Um, he owned the shop from the late 1900s until he died in 2001. He died here in the building. He had a fatal heart attack while sitting at his desk. So time goes on, another person buys the property. And so one morning, this new owner named Mr. Overlock saw a man leaning against the wall in the shop before it opened. And so, he was like, whoa. And he called out to the stranger and he vanished. So when Overlock described the man that he had seen to a friend that was a local person here, and described the man, the friend said it sounded just like the previous owner, Al Bear. And the area where Overlook spied the apparition, right, was right where Al's desk used to sit. So, as the years went on, other people have seen the shadowy figure dressed in overalls just milling about. Old Al just keeping an eye on things, sounds like, right? So, there we have that. I am going to just bear with me. I need to take a sip of water here. And I can't put this gimbal down because it doesn't have a stand on it at the moment, just my handheld piece. Oh, yeah, that's good. Okay, I want to show you a nice little view from up here, too. Come on, water bottle. Close. Okay, so we're on, kind of a hill. We walked up that ramp to get up here, and so since we're kind of on a hill, that means there must be a down below. And here it is. Can I get it? Oh yeah, I can get a better view here. Oh wow, nice. Okay, so there's all those orange umbrellas over tables set for four. They have party lights. We've got a big stone wall and they're right on the river. How nice. I can't think of the name of it, but that is a sushi restaurant. That is the outdoor seating for the restaurant. So it's just picturesque. You see, we're up here quite a bit. Look at the junction of those are buildings on Main Street. And again, surrounded by granite. And there's the river just meandering on down. This is Main Street. It's running behind all those buildings until it gets to the very bottom. And then it runs under them. You can see it. If you've been on my other tours, you have seen it, I do believe. So, next is one of my most favorite buildings. And I was so thrilled to finally find my way inside it a few weeks ago. I was like a little kid in a candy store. Yeah. It's a pretty big hill there. Looks like part of it fell off. Part of that tree might fall. I've never been up there. I know there's a cemetery up there, and there's um, probably stone steps and a gate somewhere, probably down. I'm thinking down behind the livery stable might be a place to think about. If you look up, you see three towers. The short one is the tower on the old teeny little firehouse that's a museum now. The big tall spire is a church. And then the gold cupola is the old courthouse, which they moved out of. It's deserted. I'm curious to see what it becomes now. Okie dokie. This is a fun little store. As I said, Ellicott City has just the coolest little shops. It's unique unto itself. So there's where we were. Okay, there are the tongue row on the right and Taylor's livery on the left. And this is EC Pops. This has Maryland souvenirs. And if I were smart, I'd stop in there and check some out. Yeah, I think so. Do, 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 do. Now we're just going to go down the street a little bit here, but oh, chocolate. It's a candy store. Chocolate. Oh my goodness, and there's a line to get waited on. Is that crazy or what? Oops, wrong thing. I got stuck on. And now that's one of his facial go-tos. Okay, so welcome to Haunted Main Street. Yay! Look at this toy shop. This is a huge toy store. I don't think they have huge toy stores anymore since my favorite Toys R Us closed. Oh, this all moves too. Yeah, it does. I was here at the right time the other day, and the guy activated it for me, so I got to see everything moving. That was pretty nice. Oh, sugar plums. Oh, this is a tea and pastry shop. Huh. Oh, doing something on Halloween. Okay. I'll be here. Will you? Poppy and Stella. Exclusive dress shop. Ladies' dress shop, right? Yes, indeed. Yeah, that is nice. Okay, so next stop. Once upon a time. this, this is the Chandler House. It's one of the oldest structures. It was built like in early 1790. And for a long time, this was the country store, Ellicott's country store. And that's what it was, and that's what it did. Today, it today there is a company, or it's a restaurant. It's called Syriana's Cafe, Syriana Cafe, and they brew coffee and have special like I don't know, is it Mideastern like fafel and things like that, and they are using frisky little thing. They're using all three floors. When you go in, there's seating. In fact, you can see there on the right, there's a table and chairs in the window, as well as one on the sidewalk. And on the left, there's a bar with stools in the window. And then there's a couple of tables and booths in there as well. That's where the coffee bar is and that type of thing. Then you go up and you can sit out on the balcony. There are tables and chairs in there and booths. And they set, there's smaller rooms that they set up as little reading nooks. So you could, grab a cup of coffee and, bring a good book with you and you can sit there and relax and read. And then the third floor, same deal. Um, just colorful furniture, very nice atmosphere. I have pictures that I took when I was in there. I'll have to post them. But I've always wanted to get into that spooky old house. Seriously, always wanted to. So it was originally the Walker's Chandler house, a residence. Okay. Um, Usually, as you can see, it's a pretty decent sized building. So the owner would sometimes let rooms there, which is our next stop, is the Howard Hotel. So when the hotel was full, didn't have any empty rooms, Mr. Chandler here would, Mr. Walker would rent it to people, temporarily. So, according to legend, the first owner, Mr. Walker, fell off the second floor balcony that we're looking at, right down onto Main Street. Um, his Apparently there was some question about the circumstances surrounding his death, but nothing ever came to light. Okay, but apparently Mr. Walker just took that information with him to the grave. Now down through the cemeteries, the building was once a funeral home. It was a tavern, Red Cross officers, telephone company, and the first of its kind general store, which had opened in 1962. So today you've got the Syriana Cafe occupying all of the floors. And as I said, you come in and relax and have some coffee, what have you. And if some evening on a moonless night, you find yourself sipping coffee out on the second floor balcony, watch out for the tall, wispy shadow of a man. Tall, wispy shadow of a man dressed in an old fashioned clothing and taking repeated tumbles off the balcony. Again, it's about the granite, and you can see there's a huge hunk of granite right next to the old country store, right? So again, granite crystals, they absorb energy and they record it and keep it and replay it. And there's a lot of that going on here in Ellicott City, for sure. Okay. Hey, boo. Okay. That's a nice little store. Poppies. Okay. Next stop. Okay. Next stop is Howard House. Now today it's got shops in it. And I do believe the upper floors are rented. Some of them anyway. There's apartments up there, various size suites left over from its um, days as a hotel, probably. So, got a placard on it: historic Howard House apartments, circa 1850. So, 5 stories, literally built into the rock behind it. Okay, like the store at the bottom of the hill that I was able to go into and show the rock wall. This is the same. It's built right into it. Looking at the front of it, looking at the front of the old hotel. It's the third floor that is actually the ground floor at the back of the building where it faces Church Road, okay? Like the building that I showed you down in Tongue Road where, you had the bottom and then you went up top and there was another entrance, main entrance. Well, this building has that very thing on the back. Anywho, it had several owners here over the years, and it was at one time well respected as a hotel. I mean, people like wanted to, arrange to stay there, and it was like it used to have a bar, and on the first floor, and also a dining room, so that guests could have meals without having to leave the building. Now, over the decades, hundreds of former guests and residents and shopkeepers have walked on those floorboards over the years. And while it's assumed that they all checked out, perhaps not all of them did. One apartment dweller from the top floor apparently overstayed his welcome. His name's Dennis. There was a tenant who lived there and kept hearing just unexplainable noises at night, pans clanging, but nobody was there, right? So she was going out of town and she had a friend who was a psychic and decided to get her friend to stay in her apartment while she was gone and see what she discovered. So the friend came and house sitting, and when she returned, her friend was so excited because not only had she seen the young man, the young ghost, she spoke to him as well. Okay. Dennis was the name of the young man who was killed during the construction of Howard House in the 1850s. The boy had fallen through the roof on the church side, behind it on the other side of the street, on the church side of the structure, and died in the space between the tenant's kitchen and living room, just where she had previously felt unexplainable cold spots in the room. If the spirit is Dennis, then he is in good company with the others who have passed between those walls. Now, that building, I have to say, when I worked here long, long, long ago, I worked at the courthouse and we only had so much time for lunch. So, you wanted to come down and get your food as quickly as you could so you'd have time to eat it. Well, there was a shortcut you could take through the Howard Hotel. It's got a main entrance up there, way up there. And so we would come down one street from the courthouse, duck into the hotel, run down a couple of flights of stairs, and boom, we'd be there instead of having to walk all the way around. Right? It's like, no, no. Okay, so we've got a few more up here to do. Moving right along. It's again granite, right? I don't know if you can see those houses way up on the hill, but this whole little city, it's just layered, layers upon layer upon layer, going up the hills. It's just, it's crazy. Okay, here is our next stop. This is the Howard County Welcome Center. I would take us in there, but we're closed today. Everything closes on Mondays. Why is that, pray tell? See, look at that. Hours of operation. Tuesday through Sunday, such as us. But okay, so this is the Howard County Welcome Center. Now, what does it remind you of? What type of building does it remind you of? Do you have any thought what type of building this was? Okay. How about a post office? Yeah, that's what it was before Howard County Department of Tourism took over and made it a really nice little welcome center. They have a lot of information on Ellicott City and Howard County as well. So, anywho, but before that, you won't believe what it was. Okay, so it was originally built, this building was originally built as the new Ellicott City Post Office, dedicated in 1940. Okay, now before that, there were three homes here. Okay, three individual single homes that were on the spot, and they demolished them in order to build a funeral home. Okay, W.J. Bewley Funeral Home, one of, are you ready? 4 funeral homes on Main Street. Now, really, come on. We're at the top of Main Street. We can see the bottom of Main Street and the mill on the hill. Mill on the hill. And there were four funeral homes, right? That's because of all the death. There was also a lot of death there. Anywho, so it was the W.J. Burley Funeral Home. And then it changed hands and became Stephen Hilsinger's Undertaking Parlor. And that's what it was when the building was torn down to make the post office, But, but 70 years later, you know there's ghosts in that building, right? Gotta be, Well, yeah, there are, A lot of unexplained things that the staff has to put up with, talk about things that go bump in the night, right? Only this haunting adds another dimension, Smell. Smell. All the things that go bump in the night there are preceded with a distinctive floral aroma, like as in funeral flowers, right? So everybody that apparently works in the building has experienced the smell of flowers at one time or another, both employees and visitors alike. So, and also when the tourism office had moved to the first floor, they got a ghost. A ghost appeared. The same employee who smelled the roses first, smelled the flowers, saw the spirit long enough to describe her. So the vanishing woman, she became a topic of conversation among the workers, so they decided to give her a name. So they decided on Caroline, but the strange noises kept going on. They thought maybe if they named her, she'd go away. But strange noises kept going on, as did the smell of the funeral flowers. But apparently a customer set it all straight. She came into the building and she sensed the ghost, and it seemed that the spirit wanted to tell her that her name wasn't Caroline. Her name began with an L. So the ghostly woman with the floral scent is now called Louisa, and there's no more bumps in the night, only funeral flowers. Cute, right? I got a couple more for you. Onward we go up Main Street. Look at that house way up there on top of that hill. I'll tell you what, if they, yeah, Ellicott City has been plagued by many things, but oh my gosh, if they ever had an earthquake here, I think that'd probably kill it. Look at this little mural here. It just depicts a older time in Ellicott City. It looks like 1920ish, right? Oh, look, the Ellicott City Times newspaper. Actually, that was the newspaper for a very, very long time. It was one of the oldest around for a while there. I don't think it exists anymore. This building right here, nice, right? Again, it's backed up into the hill. It's made, looks like it's made with both the granite and brick. That's interesting. It's got a nice little, so look, that staircase. I was going to say a nice little staircase. That's a long staircase. It's not that little. It's long. Very interesting. This is a nice little shop. This is a very exclusive French restaurant. There's probably a ghost in here too. I'll have to look at it. But check it out, right? It's only open. This is very, very like, I don't know if you can see that, so I'll read it. Hours of operation Wednesday through Saturday. Dinner seatings at 5 p.m. and 7:15 p.m. You have to have reservation, and it's the chef's menu only. Your meal will cost you $99. Is that cool? That's kind of unusual, I think, for sure. Across the street, that building with the porch, that is what used to be known as Disney's Tavern. Not, not like Walt Disney either. Let's see if I can just get across the street for a minute. Sukasa, a really good Mexican restaurant. Okay, so now you can get a better view, and I am out of the way. Works for me. All right, so about Disney's Tavern. It is another of the oldest buildings still standing here. This was a favorite tavern with like people visiting Ellicott City because the road going to the left goes up into Frederick and the mountains and area up in western part of Maryland. And so this was like this was like the last tavern. This was the last stop before leaving town. Okay. It's stone. It's a duplex. It's 2.5 stories tall. Dates back to 1790. Used to be called Deborah Disney's Tavern, and it changed hands a few times over the course of its life. The ghost tale, though, is more to do with um, it's more of a modern tale rather than an old one. Okay, it was a bookstore for the longest time, and actually half of it still is. You got Gramps Attic Books there on the right, and then there's some offices on the left, and then offices on the right. Okay, so anyway, so there was, ooh, what is hitting me? Oh, the flag. Okay. So anyway, so back to the story. Oh my goodness. So it was a bookstore for the longest time. And there was a lady who lived here in Ellicott City, Bernice Jackson. And she lived on Main Street and made it a point to visit all the shops on Main Street. She frequented them, stopped in to say hi, to her neighbors, basically. And so Miss Jackson, she had a distinct perfume that had been created for her, a fragrance that had been created for her. And the owners of the various businesses would know that she was coming because they would catch the aroma of her cologne. So it's like it preceded her, okay? Her scent announced her arrival. So, and they called her the Duchess of Main Street, and she had lived with her husband in one of the apartments above a shop here. So, anywho, she died suddenly in her home over the shop in 2002. And today, they say she continues to visit the places that she loves best because first, they see a shadow approaching and then a scent, a very distinctive and familiar fragrance. So, again, her scent is announcing her arrival. That's crazy. Next. Oh, good. All I have to do is move over and sit down on this wall for this. This is a creepy story. This right now is the Phoenix Emporium, great restaurant. It used to be located on the corner across where the railroad bridge is at the bottom of Main Street, across from the railroad station museum, and it just got wiped out with floodwaters one too many times. So they moved up here. The building that they had down there remains empty, abandoned, I guess, whatever. But they kind of gave up. Anyway, in 1829, okay, this was a tavern with travelers, and a lot of locals would frequent it. It changed hands a bunch of times. And then in 1905, it became a lumber yard. And that's what it continued to be until 1991. When then the new owners in 1991 turned it into a successful brewing company, and still is today. And happy that they're there. Okay, but it's in those walls, however, besides Phoenix, the Shadow Man found his forever home. Okay, during the Great Depression of 1929, many well-to-do families found themselves in financial dire straits. Mr. Talbert's were no exception. To keep the business running, cutbacks had to be made. The loss of his job was just the first of many encounters to befall the young accountant. Without income, the poor guy lost his home, and his wife divorced him for it. He became homeless and was eventually forced to live in the woods down by the riverbank. So apparently, on a long weekend, a long holiday weekend, some of the townspeople reported seeing the guy running crazy through the woods, running naked through the woods, actually, and acting like totally erratically. So they called the police and to come and check on him, and he ran away. So they never did have a conversation with him. So they attempted to chase him down, but then another call came over, and so they went and handled that. So meanwhile, holiday weekend goes by. Monday morning, the owner goes into open the brewing company on that Tuesday after the 3-day holiday. The manager made a really gruesome discovery. When he entered the store, he saw a shadow swaying in the stairwell leading to the upper floor. He found the company's former accountant hanging by his neck from the second floor rafters. What was perhaps most stunning was the police report giving the time of death as Friday evening, Friday before the holiday weekend began. So then, who was it that people saw running through the woods that weekend? Meanwhile, back at the brewery, employees report hearing strange noises that they shouldn't, voices, whispers from voices not there, footfalls without feet, and a mysterious lighted candle in the window of an upstairs room when nobody's home. Could it be the former accountant, aka the shadow man, making his displeasure unknown? I mean, known. Perhaps, right? So here is the Phoenix restaurant. Good place to eat, good food for sure. That's a cantina and gifts. La Polero. They have some nice outdoor seating too. They have some great outdoor seating there. Very cool. Okay, one more. One more coming up. Our last stop. Almost there. There's a nice little country store there. I love country decor, right? Mhm. This one's a little bit of a walk too. It's just up here a little bit. That building right there, the wine bin, used to be a firehouse. Okay, the first fire, oh, you can't see it now. The first firehouse was that little teeny one. And then they moved into this one. And then they built them a huge one somewhere else in Ellicott City, another location. And here we have the judge's bench. The name has nothing to do with our story, but it is the judge's bench. It's a pub, basically. Very popular with the courthouse work crowd, right? They've got a menu and a bar. I don't even know if they're open. Let's see, what kind of food do they have? Burgers and sandwiches, other stuff. Fish and chips, lobster and mac and cheese, wings. Okay, so bar food, basically. A pub. I was right. Neat. So, oh, it doesn't open till 4 o'clock during the week. Well, how nice. Okay, so let's find a spot to do this from. How much can I see here? Okay. It's kind of a nice building, isn't it? Welcome side. Oh, they got outdoor seating too. Boy, who doesn't, right? Okay. Enough. Let me give you the story. Oops. Okay. This right here, the judge's bench, is one of the oldest neighborhood bars still here in Ellicott City. Okay. And that is God's honest truth. I know that for myself when I used to have lunch here the days I worked at the courthouse. So, anyway, this sits on land that was originally part of the hill, the courthouse. And let's see, In 1880, the first owners got a patent to it in the 1700s. And then the history is rather sketchy until 1880, when a census lists this address as a confectionery shop with a family living above. Okay, now that is apartments up above, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's another shop up there. But anyway, so the family who was living above, they were the Frost family. And they kept the property in the family for about 100 years before they sold it in the 1940s. Just 2 decades after that, in the 1960s, it was a grocery store under the direction of Joseph and Mary Berger. Okay. And then later it was a floor showroom for different types of flooring. And then became the judge's bench in the 1970s. Okay, but our story, our story actually is a little bit of a modern day one. It begins in 1962. And the Bergers, as we said, husband and wife, Joseph and Mary, lived in the apartment upstairs with their daughter, whose name was Mary. Okay, also after her mother. Okay, and they were in the apartment. Now, in the 1960s, Ellicott City did not look like this. In the 1960s, Ellicott City was underserved, run down, high crime, and petty things, drunk, thievery, those things of that nature. And it was rampant throughout the town. So much so that we have a army base, 20 minutes from here. It's called Fort Meade. And a lot of the servicemen would frequent here. Well, the crime and situation got so bad that Fort Meade banned any service personnel from setting foot within these city limits. Now that changed as time went on. That's just a part of their ugly history that they probably like to forget here. During the 1960s, the Howard Hotel that we were looking at earlier, that was like a ghetto hotel. The landlord was a slumlord. He took their money and wouldn't fix a thing. It was awful. Okay. But times have changed for the better. So, yeah, there are a lot of things to do. I really got that right. And it's a perfect day for walking because it's not too hot. We somehow lost the humidity. Yay! Okay, back to my story. Okay, so 1962, and the Bergers live here and run the store. Okay, now they were very, very, very protective over their daughter, their only child, right? So at the time, that's when, Ellicott City had, was ridden, with undesirables, committing petty crimes and all that. So they kept a very close eye on Mary, who was absolutely gorgeous, and she worked in their grocery store serving the customers. Her parents forbade her to date any men from Ellicott City, no boys from Ellicott City, and she obeyed them throughout all her high school years. I guess she really didn't have much of a chance, right, not to. Anyway. Anyway, throughout her high school years, she didn't date anybody. So when she graduated, she started working full time at her parents' store, mostly behind the cash register. And that's where she met a young man that she fell in love with. And unfortunately, though, her parents were so angry that even though came from a respectable family, even though she met him while waiting on him in her parents' store, they still made her give him up. So she did, and she was heartbroken. She waited until the store closed and her parents went out for the evening. And she's 19 years old at the time. She climbed the attic stairs to the third. She climbed the stairs to the third floor attic, threw a rope over the rafters, and yeah, she hung herself. So customers reported seeing her spirit in the store shortly after her burial. Um, Interesting. Some thought they saw her standing in her usual place behind the counter, and others walking by at night claimed to see her face peering out from the window up above, the attic window. Apparently, her presence has been felt all over the house, but strongest in the attic where she died. Over the years, liquor bottles have been mysteriously upended, faucets turned on and off by some invisible energy, a roll of toilet paper completely unraveled all around the bar, right? Um, Most of the wait staff avoids going down to the basement because they've seen Mary down there. They've seen the ghost. Now, one bartender that worked here claimed to be a sensitive, and he claimed to have conversations with a spirit called Mary whenever he caught sight of her floating by. The bartender claimed to be in love with the spirit of the young woman. So who knows? Maybe Mary Berger finally got her Ellicott City boy after all. Okay, that concludes. That concludes part two, Haunted Ellicott City. I'll have to schedule part three, which is going to be up on Mount Misery, up on the hill there by the courthouse. So that should be good. How did we do? Okay, just a little over an hour. Very good. Well, folks, let me turn this around. Camera, back. Do it again. Up there it is. There I am. Hello. Okay. So, anywho, my next tour is what? Oh, Wednesday. Wednesday morning. Fort Armistead and Fort Carroll. Going to start up my Defenders of Baltimore series again. So we're going to get Fort Armistead. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to be in Delaware, Delaware National Seashore to be exact. So I'm going to be doing live streams from the beach. Oh, yeah, definitely, definitely. Show you around the campground, all kinds of really cool things. Thank you much, guys. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Ronnie Lynn. Y'all have a great week. And maybe I'll see you at Fort Armistead. Bye.